Niagara West, Glenbrook.
Thank you, Speaker. Let me say off the top of the time that I have, I want to congratulate the member for Lambton, Kent Middlesex, for bringing this bill forward. We all get just one kick at the cat, if you will, Speaker, when it comes to our private members' bills, and members will use that in different ways as what their priorities are. Mr. McNaughton, the member for Lambton, Kent Middlesex, took the too rare approach of actually bringing forward a bill that's substantive. It is thoughtful. It is well drafted, and it is timely, and it impacts on the lives of everyday Ontarians. Every family, sadly, will have to cope with this type of circumstance. I always think it's important to congratulate a member, whatever side of the House they sit on, when they take the time to do the research on a substantive, impactful, and timely bill, and that's certainly what this is. Look, when it comes to tax policy, one always has to consider, when you're raising revenue, what kind of signals do you send to people paying taxes into the economy as a whole. For example, most of us approve of the fact that there are high taxes on tobacco because you want to discourage tobacco use, Mr. Speaker. Sales taxes are often preferred to income taxes because they will encourage more investment and less consumption as a way of raising revenue. Income taxes in Ontario and Canada tend to be progressive in nature. The higher income, the higher rate of taxation you pay. Mr. McNaughton, the member, brings up, I think, a very important point. Why do we have a death tax to begin with? All of the assets that are taxed have, in fact, already come after taxes were paid on income, on a purchase. So you're effectively taxing a second time assets that an individual or a family had owned. So it makes a good philosophical question. Now, he's approached this in a balanced manner. He recognizes that the members of the other two parties may not support that, so he brought forward something that's in the realm of possibility, lowering that tax. And I thought his approach was a very thoughtful one, where he said estates of, is it $50,000 value and lower, families with quite modest means, should be tax exempt. Charitable donations as well should be tax exempt. I think that's laudable, and hopefully we'll see members of the two parties agree with at least that. And then the staged taxation process after that. He could have gone to get rid of the tax, but you recognize the other members wouldn't have voted for that. I hope they'll support this. I think it's wise. I think we need to look back on this and make sure, Speaker, those following the debate understand the true history there. The members of the government party are being a bit superficial or reckless, or maybe just having fun, saying this was a brand new tax brought in by Premier Harris. So that's not accurate. There was always a long-standing probate for an executioner of an estate. That effectively worked as a tax as opposed to an administrative fee, but it's called the probate. There was a court hearing. The previous Bob Rae government had increased that probate fee, I think tripled it as a tax grab. The Harris government responded to a court hearing to make it clear and transparent as a tax. We didn't bring this in. It had existed for some time. You can make the point we should have eliminated it at that point in time, in which case you must vote for Ms. McNaughton's bill if you feel that's the best thing to do, and I hope that you will. But we lowered taxes in other ways, including the most dramatic reduction of personal income taxes anywhere in this country, the lowering of business taxes to encourage investment. So we chose other tax routes. So here we are today, and what the current government has done is two things. They've brought in a punishing and, quite frankly, cruel 90-day time frame. Now, thank God, I've not had to go through this with an immediate family member. Members here probably have. You can understand the grieving period you go through, the shock. And there is an administrative burden on the spouse, the daughter, the son, whoever is the executor. To force them with threats of significant fines or jail time to complete that process in 90 days, Speaker, I think is cruel. Whether the government thought through it at the time, it's not of consequence. I'm not going to try to create an issue there other than to say fix it. I think all of us would reasonably agree that 90 days for a grieving family to force them to do this is cruel and should be fixed. They also did effectively increase the tax, so they increased the death tax. I know they'll debate that, but here's how they did it. They actually, previously the tax had been administered by the net value. You would take the gross value of the assets, you would remove any debts that were owing to get a net value, and the tax was based on that net value. They changed that, now it's on the gross. So effectively you're taxing at a higher rate. So not only did you put on a cruel time frame, you increase the death tax. And all Mr. McNaughton, member for Lambton, Kent Middlesex, is asking you to do is fix that. the 90-day time frame, and to allow for charitable donations, to allow for a low-income exemption, and a cap level of taxation. I think that's fair. I think that's balanced. I think that's reasonable, and will reflect what I think is an extraordinary lack of compassion in the current system. It's not just me, Speaker. I received, as my colleagues have, I'm sure in all parties, correspondence from constituents concerned about this. A woman named Dorothy, I'll keep her last name confidential, from Grimsby. When she first heard about this change, she thought that she was mistaken, that she'd been given wrong information. She was surprised when she contacted me to say, how could our elected officials bring forward such a draconian measure? She's a senior citizen. She was planning her own family's affairs when this came into her orbit. She asked me to act as a member, and as I'm pleased to be one of those speaking in behalf of supporting the bill here today. Another of my, we're at 6 now, my constituents, Robin, also from West Niagara, was shocked at the 90-day time frame and asked that be removed. So, Speaker, I commend my colleague, and I think that it's a very fair, reasonable, balanced approach, and I do hope that we'll have all members of the Assembly pass this bill into law. Thank you, Speaker.